got these mics, I decided to commit to them on camera. The good plastic. Hi, everybody. It's Casey Cadaver here with the Roxy Horror Casey Show. And today is number 3 of the 31 on 31 Horror Nights movies, Zombie Edition. And at first, I was against doing this movie because I already did it. It's my favorite movie of all time. My favorite movie of all time. And I kind of did a video on this already. But I'm glad I did because even though it's my favorite movie of all time, and I've watched it many times, this sparked me to do a little research into it, just to make some notes. And I learned new things. First of all, if you haven't seen it, it's Day of the Dead, Romero's third, and quite possibly the best zombie trilogy of all time. Only rivaled, personal opinion, by the 28 series. Personally. Uh, but so I did Night. And Night ends with basically the zombie apocalypse being eradicated. Done. But you know who wasn't done? George A. Romero. Uh, he did Dawn. Dawn gets a lot of credit. I'm not sure why. I'm gonna watch it again. Day, all the credit. None of the credit actually. Zero credit. Get zero credit. I think I give it enough credit for everybody else. Movie starts off with a really good jump scare. Sarah is staring at a wall, calendar, days going by, loneliness, solitude, and then these zombie hands burst out of the scene, reaching for her, and she does this very dramatic soap opera. I would almost take away points for that, but it was a dream sequence, so the dramedy of it, I think it's a pass. But then from there, she wakes up and she's in the helicopter as they go and venture down into this city, which you can guess is Florida. Um, and it is a ghost town. It is absolutely abandoned. You get the classic, beautiful scene of the newspapers rolling through the streets and then the dead walk as one flips over. All those aspects of it. You see the blood in the streets, um, the empty shore stops, the broken glass, the abandoned cars, everything. And then you see the first zombie. And he stumbles out, and you see his jaw is just gone. And there's a tongue swinging, and his eyes are moving, and it's dripping blood and saliva. And Day of the Dead could not could I don't there's no better opening of zombie movies in my opinion. That is just beautiful. You're introduced to the devastation of the world. You're introduced to some of the main characters as they kind of banter in the helicopter for a landing. The two other the pilot and the radio guy. The pilot's name is John. The radio guy's name is Bill. Um, Talking about how they don't want to touch down. They think it's not worth the gas. The helicopter. You get this banter. Touchdown. Sarah and Miguel go out, try to rise the city with a megaphone, um, waking up the dead as they come crawling out of every hole. And God, why did this come to my head? Sour orifice of a dead city. Yeah, let that imagery sink in your head. Sorry, not sorry. Uh, as it just comes alive with the dead. Uh, just it's perfect. It's the best opening. Um, So then you move back into, and you get to learn about that they're all staying in this bunker with the military, and you get this idea that there's claustrophobia. The army and the scientists aren't getting along well. The scientists are down there to try to discover something. They all kind of seem to have their own idea plans. Mostly Sarah versus Logan. Talk about later. Um, but it's so good. I don't want to go into too much of all this because the last review was only supposed to be 10 minutes and it was almost 30. We're trying to keep these somewhat short, but I get excited. Uh, so the movie itself is probably not seen as a great zombie film because the zombies, I wouldn't say, are secondary. They're kind of along the lines with the humans, and that's what something I think we miss in a lot of zombie movies today or since. That seems to be, um, actually, I think the humans take a bigger portion here. That's what it is. The humans take a bigger portion here. The zombies are secondary. Retract my statement. They are secondary, but that's what kind of makes it fun. Like you get to see more of the relationship. It's not constant jump scares. It's not, we're not. It's not gratuitous in its horror aspects, horror tropes. Um, they make it a good, enjoyable, growing movie. Um, and that's why it's my favorite. It's scientists versus military. It's claustrophobia. It's how they're dealing with a zombie apocalypse that's definitely advanced. Um, they're in no way in a good position, but for what it's worth, it's safe. They're surrounded by a gate. They're an underground bunker. Um, they've kind of become adapted or numb to the zombie apocalypse in a way. They treat them kind of like as animals, aggressive animals. You know, let's get out of the way. We don't want them to see us. Not, they seem to get upset. They have their own like farm underground where they go and collect them to gather data. As Dr. Frankenstein, as they call him, dissect them. But the cool thing is, every time they try to, they allude to the fact that every time they try to pull these zombies from the underground that they've captured and brought down there, and then keep them in a pen, they get more and more hesitant to come because they're learning. They somehow know what happens when they get caught. They go to get dissected. So it almost kind of brings back that call I talked about, Night of the Living Dead, where the zombies seem to be more cognizant, using tools, knowing that glass needs to be broken. So there's still some bit of human intelligence in zombies. They're not completely instinctual. Um, but they actually do go into that a little bit by you get to actually see the zombie lab, and they're all cut apart. And this opens you up to the next best gore, the next great gore in this movie when they enter the lab, and the zombie turns, breaks out of the straps, and all of his intestines fall out. Which is what drew me to this movie in the first place from VH1. I love the 80s. Uh, they're all real intestines. Everything they use in that movie is, well, for the majority, the intestines they use are real animal intestines. Don't think we're getting away with that today, but it is. So it's all under fluorescent light. It's very unforgiving. So they had to make it look really good. Boy, did they. So some fun facts I found about this movie. Of course, Tom Savini did the effects. Just flexed. I feel like back in the day, like the housing market, movies got better budgets somehow because you don't see a lot of this good practical gore anymore. Um, God, I think I've even seen like just CGI blood every time. No one's willing to take multiple takes of a movie and risking fluid to behave. That's a quote. let's check out the behavioral patterns of fluids. Um, so Tom Savini just being amazing, and he was also one of the zombies in the movie, which I love that. But in this research, I found out Greg Nicotero is in the movie. Uh, he himself is an actor. He's one of the. I didn't know that. I've never had to look into this movie a whole lot. I just enjoyed it, and I didn't know Greg Nicotero was in the movie. He's one of the soldiers that unfortunately gets accidentally shot when one of the other soldiers is attacked, which leads into one of the other best scores about the movie that I think is unmatched to this day. The neck biting scene of, I believe his name was Miller, the soldier Miller. Um, when the zombie gets loose and they're actually trying to gather the zombies, and it gets loose and runs over, grabs the guy, throws his head back, and just goes for the neck. And you see the rip of the skin, and then you see what looks like everything under it, the tendons, the cords, everything. It is rough. Everything's actually different colors. It's all under fluorescent light. Um, just I remember being mesmerized by that. And I looked it up, and that was a tool they used called Bit O Flesh. Um, they used it by layers, so they would take it and they would roll it up, uh, and use it, and then pat it together. So when you tore it, it had layers, and like an ogre. Then you pull it back, it would show and tear in natural ways with depth, which is so cool. So cool. Something I haven't seen too much of today, at least not in that lighting. Um, that was great. And then you get introduced to my two favorite characters, Bub and Logan, Dr. Frankenstein. Um, Frankenstein's just a weird dude, but he's forward and direct and unafraid of the military overtaking. Uh, Dude knows what he's there for. He won't be deterred from his sciences, his research, um, though seemingly unethical. He does end up stealing some of the bodies of the deceased soldiers and working on them because they're fresh supplies. And he doesn't get to work with those a whole lot, which unfortunately leads to his demise, as those are Captain Rhodes' men, the evil Captain Rhodes. Talk about being held down and feeling hopeless. We talked about this in my Night of the Living Dead review, where some people, um, especially men, will, when in a helpless situation um, that you cannot control, you then demand control. It's not even a desire, you demand control. Like Harry Cooper in Night of the Living Dead, it's all you can think about, because if you can control this one thing, these few things, these people, these 5 people, you now feel in control of everything that's happening to you. And we all know a zombie apocalypse, nobody has control of anything. Not when it's on like a global scale, not in the movies. Um, so Rhodes is uh, he takes over after Major Cooper. What, that was a tie-in? See, didn't know that. Didn't even think about that. Major Cooper died, and Rhodes takes over the camp and becomes much more authoritarian and demanding uh, of the science team, which doesn't work out for anybody. Uh, something else that was awesome about this movie. Oh yes, as I was looking up the names of the actors and the characters, like I understood most of the characters, but uh, just looking down the cast, because I want to get that the soldier Will um, Williams name correctly. If you ever want to just have some insults in your back pocket, look up zombie movie casts, um, and go down to where they start listing the zombies, and you're gonna find some good ones. I think uh, Savini was listed as gaunt, mustachioed, white white striped sweatered zombie. Um, there was bald, mustachioed zombie, and there was dirty pink collared zombie. I can just imagine going down the street, you dirty pink collared son of a bitch. He's like, for the blue and white color, that fuck do you mean by pink? It just really throws somebody off. So it's just, it's just a good combination of words that are nonsense that'll probably throw somebody off their fight, off their battle, and you might be able to just win an argument that way. Well, hopeful tip. Uh, um, but yeah, with this movie's always been a favorite of mine. It was going to get a high review regardless, but it was fun to learn a little bit more about Nicotero, about Tom Savini, and just do a little bit more of a deep dive to it and watch it again. Nothing wrong with watching your favorite movie of all time again. Um, and I talked about this in my other review, but I love a good monologue. I love a good um, emotional, deep monologue that comes out of nowhere. And if you've ever read or listened to the book of Jurassic Park, um, oh my god, Malcolm's monologues of the world of his chaos theories are intoxicating to listen to, especially if you have a good narrator. Um, but John, the pilot, Terry Alexander, I think delivers one of the best monologues in movie history and in just by his acting chops and just the content of it. Um, Especially in a zombie apocalypse, it was worldly. It was a lot about forget the old world. Nothing ever came about. It was wasted time to document everything. We should just be living for today and take care of each other. And also his take on why the zombie apocalypse is happening. He has a couple theories, and then he lands on the fact that God set a curse upon us to let us know what hell was like because we got a little too big for our britches trying to figure out his shit. And he wanted to prove that he was still the boss man. God, go listen to it. Gives me chills every time. He's so serious. And then they just, have get drunk with McDermott. Um, the good old drunk Irish radio man. I was also sad to hear that many of these actors have passed on only in recent years, like 2019 and 2023. A lot of these guys are gone, which is a shame because I remember seeing a meet and greet, like a online meet and greet with some of the cast, and thank you ADHD. I was like, oh my god, it's amazing, but I didn't write anything down. Didn't do any of that. Uh, so it passed by. Plus, I didn't quite understand what it was. I've always remembered like you go to Comic Con and see this, but this was seemingly online, or you could send things in for them to sign and get it back for a certain amount of money. Sounds weird. Um, But yeah, this movie, 5 out of 5, always going to be, always will be. Um, the acting, the plot, the misdirection of people thinking this is just a regular zombie movie. And I've taken it to parties, and people are like, "Oh, Casey knows the creepy zombie movies. He knows the good movies," and it puts everyone to sleep. Um, if you're not into it, you're not into it. But it is slower. But for me, the pacing's great. The gore, 10 out of 10 every time. 10 out of 10. The death scenes, you have uh, the guy get his throat whipped out, and then they shoot him in the head, and the back spatter out of it, just realistic. And then the actor dying is like, if you grew up in like the early ages of the internet, you've seen enough people get shot. It's good. That's a weird take. Um, then the in-death scenes, end death scenes. Um, Miguel getting his arm cut off, then having his chest ripped open, like peeled back flesh. Uh, what was it? Rickles getting his eyelid. Like you see the finger go like up under his eyelid, like peel the skin off of his head, and you see up under it, and his eyeball still flicking around. Oh my word. And who was it? Torres. Torres gets it bad. His he gets fingers in his eyeballs, and his whole head gets yanked back. And you hear the vocal cords stretch as he screams. His voice gets higher, like Lordy. Um, all of those, and then Rhodes, of course, the famous scene, falling back, and very, very much like. I mean, we'll talk about Shaun of the Dead at some point. I think it's part of this 3131, but they paid homage to the scene where Rhodes falls back. It's his whole torso ripped open, legs pulled away. And if you didn't watch the other video, the fun fact about that moment is, since they were real intestines, the rumor was somebody tripped and accidentally unplugged the refrigerator they were in. So when they shot that scene, the intestines were less than fresh, but it was the last scene, and they were like, "We got to go with it." So when they open it up, that rotten intestine smell, decay, is a zombie movie, right up in his nostrils, just right while he's screaming, "Choke on him, choke on him." See, again, fantastic acting. You believe it. You believe he's that much of a dick, and everybody's just very believable. And I think sometimes inexperienced actors actually are sometimes the best people to grab, because they're so experienced. They seem to play it real. They don't seem to ham it up, which makes it more believable. Um, only 23 minutes. How does this keep happening? Um, Day of the Dead, Romero's third. There was a reimagining of it. Don't. 1985. Horror like no other. Zombie film that, if you haven't seen it, will be like none other you've seen. Masterpiece in gore. Um, Beautiful. 5 out of 5. Happy Halloween. Stay spooky. See you in the next one.